So before we move on to styling images and tables, I just want to add one thing here. If some styles have the same value for a specific property, for example, H2 and H3, they have the same font family. So we can group these styles and change the value only once. I'll show you an example. H2, we can group H2 and H3. I'll open my curly braces and so you will not have to style the font family twice or write it twice. We can group it this way and you will have to then write the code only once. So both ways your code is right. I'm just introducing you group wali cheese just so you know कि इस तरह भी possible है because we will be using this further in our session when we move on to tables. Now let's insert an image here. The right way to insert the image is through the code that Mar taught you in the HTML classes, but I'll make use of the Dreamweaver features and you can insert an image just through clicking this window. I'll pick a random picture. Let's say this. Right. Now we will add a black border to it in your style sheet by styling your image tag. I'll open my curly braces and it can, let's say, be 10 pixels thick. Border. I'll save it and once. Let's increase its thickness. 50 pixels. I feel there's some glitch in my Dreamweaver. We'll move to images afterwards. We'll move to tables for now. And before that, let me introduce you to one more thing. So we can also add comments to your CSS document. For example, this is a comment which allows you to create sections in your file. And for example, I remove this slash, your Dreamweaver will read this whole thing, this whole file as a comment, and it will not read it. So comments are for the web developers. So the browser or your Dreamweaver thinks this doesn't read this, it is only for your web developer. I will create a section here for class styles using the comment section. You can create different classes which are essentially subtypes within an element in a style sheet. And these are very useful for adding to or changing styles without actually defining completely new styles. So you can pick, you can add like a lot of attributes to the elements using different classes. For example, I will create a class for italic. You can define a class in the style sheet using the dot or a full stop. First, I'm going to set the font to Arial. The font family will be Arial. So in our last class, I was expecting someone to ask why we are choosing multiple fonts here, but none of you did. So the purpose of having multiple styles here is that if one doesn't work, your Dreamweaver can choose the other one. So for example, the first one is Gotham, and it is your preferred one, right? So the Dreamweaver will choose this, and if your computer does not have either, it will choose your second option. And if it doesn't have that, it will choose your third option. So coming back to our tab, I'm going to set the color to green. So ending your rule with this semicolon is very important. Without that, your Dreamweaver... Oh, we do have questions. Let me just see the chat box. What if you want Arial to be the first choice? Let's say, can we change that? Yes, can you please repeat the purpose of class styles? Okay. I'll first repeat the purpose of class styles, and then I'll answer Eliza's question. So your class styles, what they allow you to do is they allow you to basically add elements in your styles that have been already styled or defined. So for example, H3 or H2, you've already defined here, right? So these class styles are basically subtypes within an element in a style sheet, and they'll add or change styles for styles that have already been defined. So for example, you will understand this once I apply it in your HTML. Let me just first style your class style, and then once I use it in your HTML document, then you will, I think, better understand. For Aliza's question, can we choose Arial? Yes. So the basic purpose is Arial, and this is just these languages, Gotham, sans serif. It's just another way to write Arial. Your font family will be Arial, but if your computer cannot read or cannot find Arial in your software, they will choose sans serif. It's the same thing as Arial or these other options. So yeah. Do I answer? Oh, that makes sense. Okay, thank you. Moving on, we will choose a color for your style. I'll put a hash. Okay, so these 6 digits, they are divided into 3 sets of 2. So the first 2 characters here, 00, represent the red value of the color, and FF represents the green value of the color, and these zeros represent the blue value in the color, so it makes RGB. It's a 6 hexadecimal code, and FF here means 100%. So for you to see bright green color, you will have 0% red and 0% blue, and for your green value, I will choose FF, which is your 100%. And these values can be anything from 0 to 15. Until 9 you have your digits, but for 11 it's an A, for 12 it's B, and so on, all the way to 5 or 15, F or 15. So 0 here means the absence of the colors. So for black, for instance, we will have all 3 colors, red, green, and blue, 0, 0. So if I make green also 0, you will see a black color, right? Now, for you to see a white color, ठीक है? Well, that's for you guys to guess. इतना तो basic पढ़ा होगा that when you see white light, it's when all the colors are reflecting, right? Now, black is when all the colors are absent. So if black is 000, white will be, can anyone guess and write in the chat box? Black is when you cannot see any colors, so you have 0 for all 3 colors, right? For white, you have all the colors reflecting. So what will be the tag or the hexadecimal value of all 3 colors? You can make a guess. It can be wrong. No issue. Just make a guess and write in the chat box. Anyone? Right, it's FFF. So for you to see a white color, we will have FF, that is 100% of all 3 colors, right? So you get an FF. Now I'm gonna change this back to 0 so we can have the green color. I think this was all you needed to know about changing the colors. Just one last thing, we are only changing red, green, and blue because they are your primary colors of light. Okay, coming back to your tag, I'll make the font style italic. Again, you have to end this with a semicolon. I'll make the font style to italic, end it with a semicolon, and we're done with the tag. So remember, the punctuation in CSS is very important. Your full stop or this period for your class styles, this colon that separates your property and the value, your semicolon that ends the value statement or the rule. And keep one more thing in mind, that your style name can have letters, numbers, hyphens, etc., but no symbols. So you can have like exclamation or any symbol in your style name, but you can have numbers and letters, obviously. Okay, now we have defined a class style. Let's test this in HTML so you can have a better idea how we use it. I'll first save the style sheet. I'll apply this class to H4. So H4 is a style that has already been defined. So your class styles can only be applied to styles that have already been defined. So H4 is that, and you will apply class to it. You'll open your speech marks and see whatever क्या कहते हैं class style you have defined वो already आपकी options में आ जाएगा. So we only have italic that came in your option, and now I'm going to write end this tag and write anything. Let's say I'll write my name. So you see the, wait, I'll go to my style sheet. The properties that we defined for italic, the green color, italic, and the font family has now been applied to H4. I hope that answers Amal's question now. Are you clear? Can we move on? You can also apply more than one class style. There's no restriction. Yeah, it does. Nice. Okay. Just remember to name your class properly, because the class name must provide information about attributes that are added to the element. So for example, in italic, we have added italics. So it should be obvious from your name that whatever is present in your style. So because it gets easier to understand. And for instance, if you want to add a class that will change the font size to 36, then the best bet would be to name it font 36, and make sure that a class only does one thing. Adding more than one attribute might make your class hard to reuse. For example, you can't use a class containing two attributes like green text and font size 36 pixels. If you solely want a green text without changing the font size. Right now I added like multiple things to italic because we didn't have time to make like three separate classes, but it's always preferred to have one attribute for one class. So now we know how to create a tag style and a separate class. So now what remains is learning about some of the properties. I will now quickly insert the HTML code for a basic 2 into 2 table, and then we'll style that. Right. Now, the first thing I want to do is add border to the table. Let's go back to our style sheet and let's make it 1 pixel thick. Now, this will only give me an outline. I'll save it. Why isn't giving me? 1 second. Oh, first you have to define the property that you're going to put the value for. So if it's the border, right. Now you can see an outline for your table. To add border to our columns and rows inside the table, what I have to do is add border to our cells and heading tag too. So instead of styling the three tags one by one, for example, like th, border, td, table, what I'll do is I'll group them. So td and th. Right. Now the space between the border and the cells doesn't look right. So we can also omit that by making the borders collapse. So now the space you see has been removed. Now we can also make the outside border thicker than the inside ones. What I'll do is th or td co will separate from table. So now I'm separating them because we want to have a different value for the border of the outside border for table and a different value for your border, that is for your rows and the columns. Table ka border will make, let's say, 15 pixels thick. Right. So now you see your outside border is thicker than the inside one. I'll put some padding on each one of its cells now. So if you remember in the last session, I mentioned that cell padding when we were editing the margins. Now margins and padding are very different but quite similar. All you have to remember is that padding is on the inside of a cell. So this area is, can you tell again that how did you make the inside lines of the table? Okay, yeah. So the outside border was made through adding a border to your table tag, and the inside border, these lines were made through adding a border to your td and th tag. Now this, I hope Maya has explained you that td and th tag in your HTML are for row and your heading. Does that answer your question? Okay. Moving on, I was talking about cell padding. So the space inside the cell is your cell padding, and margin is basically the space outside your table. So if I make its padding 50 pixels, one second. Okay, right. I wonder why it was not changing before. Right, so one second, I'll increase this. Now you see the space inside the cell between your border and this text has increased. So your padding is always between the text and your border. And now if I increase the table margin, coming back to, if I increase the table margin, so your space outside the table has increased, this part. So I hope the difference between padding and margin is clear. Now I'll end this. Okay. Now, if you put just one value of margin, the browser is going to place that all around the cell, left, right, top, and bottom. Wait, I'll split this. So I had just put one value for the margin. So your browser is going to put the same value for top, right, top, bottom, your right, left, all the sides. So if you want to have like customized space for all the sides, what we'll do is I'm going to add two values here. So now your 50 pixels is for top and bottom, and 10 pixels would be for left and right. Just always remember that the second value is for left and right, and the first value that was 50 is for your top and bottom. Moving back, one second. Right. So it's the same for padding too. If you put two values, the first one would be for your top and bottom, and the second one will be for left and right. Now I'm gonna put two values for, if you want to add a different amount top, left, right, and bottom, we'll have to type out four values. So for padding here, I'll add four values. Let's say 2 pixels, one second, 2 pixels, and 20 pixels. I've chosen any varied values so you can notice the difference. Now, the first one, 50, in this case, is the top value. 50 is always it always starts from your top value. So the first one is 50, it is for your top value. And 80, your second value is for your, so it goes from top to clockwise. We always start from the top and then we'll go clockwise. You have top and then right, and then we have 2 pixels of padding for your bottom, and 20 is for your left. So if I move to your क्या कहते हैं 50 was for, बल्कि cell padding is the inside one, sorry, cell padding is the inside one. So we had 50 pixels for top, then we had 80 pixels for your right, because we're moving clockwise, remember, and 2 pixels for bottom, and then lastly 20 pixels for your right. You can also type out separately, I'll show you. You can also type out separately, like you have padding left itni, padding right itni, padding top itni, but I find this way easier and it's more concise, just adding all the values in one line. Because it's also shorter, and especially because I have to give ICT ka exam next year, I just find this simpler ताकि कम से कम time invest so you only have like 2.5 hours or 4 or 5 6 softwares. So yeah, I just find shorter ways. I find this easier, but if this gets confusing, you can always go for your the other thing I showed. You can separately define padding bottom, padding left, right. Okay, moving back to our table. Now in CSS, if we were to align the text to center, we would simply make the text alignment center, like we have done for H2. I'll show you. We'll simply make this text alignment center. But if we apply the same thing to table, it would align the text inside and not the table itself. So if I apply text alignment, text align center, what it's going to do is it aligns your text in the center. So to align your table in the center, what we will have to do is we will make the second value for your margin, which is for your left and right auto. Now what this will do is, for your top and bottom it can be whatever, but the second value, which is for left and right, we are going to type auto. Now it's going to put equal margins on both sides, left and right. And even if I change the amount of space, the table will adjust. So that's one thing what you do for making your table aligned to center. I'll move back. Now the last thing I want to cover is lists ki styling. So are there any questions up till now? Abhi jo bhi, yes, we have one. 80 pixels would be the distance between the first name and the last name. Can you repeat your question? I don't get it. 80 pixels, you're talking about, oh, you're talking about the padding. Yeah, so 80 pixels is your cell padding, that is for your, if you're moving from clockwise, it will be, yes, padding. It will be for your right hand side, okay? So the cell padding between this border and the text is your padding, which will be 80 pixels, not the first name and the last name. This is 22 pixels. Padding is always between this border and the text inside. So 80 pixels is this space, and then 2 pixels that we had for your right hand side is this space. I hope that's clear. Okay, any other questions, or should we move on to lists? Okay, so I'll quickly first put a code for your list in your HTML document. One second. We had one more list here. So you have your list here. Now, if you have unordered list first, one second. If you have your unordered list here, your HTML is going to give you these basic bullet points. In your CSS, if you're going to style the unordered list, you have so many options that you can choose from. Let's first style our UL tag, which is for unordered lists. List style type. Now there's so many options that you can choose from, but HTML only gives you these basic bullet points. You can choose circle, you can choose square. Okay, you'll see the difference. And if we have, go back to our code, and if you have ordered lists, you can see there are a lot of options for your ordered list too. Your HTML is going to give you basic 1, 2, 3, Control S, ordered list. Why is it not changing? Oh, okay. Because in your in our CSS we have defined, so your HTML is giving you this basic 1, 2, 3, and we'll go in our CSS. List style type. Again, you have so many options for your ordered list too. You can style it in Roman, in alphabets. You can style it with decimal leading 0. Then you can style it with in alphabets. You can also style them in uppercase alphabets. You can also style them in Roman, right? You see that. So yeah, there are a lot of options for your for styling your lists too. Are there any questions? So you can also add a background image to your web page just by insert background. Oh, we have to, so see, your punctuation is very important in CSS. We didn't end the last rule or your declaration with the semicolon. Background image. My Sarim, do you have something to add?
No, I think we're good.
So I think that's it that you need to know for CSS. From your next session, we will be starting JavaScript, which is used for your behavior layer that Sarum will be dealing with. And then we will edit existing templates and CSS. For CSS, we are done. So this is the right time if you need to ask any question related to your style, your table, or anything. So there's also a concept for descendant selectors. So suppose you want to apply a style rule to a particular element only when it lies inside a particular element. I'll give you an example. So यहाँ पे if you had to, so अच्छा ordered lists में ही if you have to apply, let's say H2, anything that you have styled for H2, it will only be added to your document when it is inside your OL or your ordered list tag. So what this means is, okay, if I go in, 1 second, Control C. The properties that you had styled for H2, I'll put them in this tag. And so for H2, you have nothing. I'll cut this. Okay. For H2, date of post, now you have no style, but all these styles will be added to H2 only when it is inside the ordered list tag. So if I go in my H2 and I first put the OL tag, ordered list, and I close it. Oh, 1 second. It should listen. I think I didn't save it. Achha, Abhi, I don't know why it isn't working, but your descendant selector tag is basically when you have to put, so you styled H2 only, it will work, this H2 thing will only work when it is inside your OL tag. So ये एक चीज़ थी that I wanted to share, descendant selector वाली. इसके अलावा तो I think you are done. We can end the session if you have no questions. I'll also be sharing document in your Google Classroom that has your CSS styles, के बारे में काफी कुछ lists and tables, and also it will help you for your anchors and the HTML वाला part. So do check that out. I hope everyone is in the Google Classroom. If you don't have the class code, please write in the chat box and we can give you. Okay. Mai, do you have anything to add, or should we end?
It's up to you. Bas ye hai कि maybe if you could just like go over everything summary में एक दफा, and then उसके बाद 10 minutes हैं, and then we can end.
We can do that. So I'll split. So this was your style sheet. This is your basic layout for changing the body color, the background color. हाँ, एक चीज थी background image, वो इसलिए नहीं आ रही थी because we didn't put it in the body tag. यहाँ पे if you have background color defined, यहीं पे if I add a tag for your background image here, ठीक है, one second. Sorry, background image. यहाँ पे I will insert हाँ URL, ठीक है, you click URL and you browse any image that you want to have as background. I'll choose the same picture for now, and you can also add one second, Control S. Yes, right. So we have this image as your background. And just to tell you that we can also have your a picture as the background. ठीक है. Yeah. So moving on, this is Control C. Right. So we styled H1 tag. You can change font family, the color, text transform. You can add, you can make it bold, uppercase. Then we had styled H2 here. H3 में हाँ colors का if it's not for notepad you need to, if whoever is using notepad you need to know के color coding क्या है, वरना it's really easy in Dreamweaver just to pick a color. So for example I had to pick a color. You can choose any shade you want and it will automatically generate a 6 hexadecimal code for that. So if you were to choose blue color or any shade of that color, it will automatically generate your code, a 6 hexadecimal code for that. So in Dreamweaver it gets really easy. You don't need to learn the format. इसके अलावा yeah, margins may you can also use EM instead of pixels. It is just another unit to use. 16 pixels is for 1 EM, and you use comments to create sections in your file, or it is your browser doesn't read them. It is for the web developer for you to create sections and make it more easy to read. And just remember, punctuation is very, very important in your CSS. For any class style, you need to add this full stop or period at the start. And फिर जब you go in your source code, it will automatically, when you add class, it will automatically give you that class style that you had designed. इसके अलावा your colon is for separating your property and the value. Your semicolon ends your declaration, and these curly brackets are for your declaration block. इसके अलावा, yep, that's it. Any questions? Oh, can you make half of the back? Yes, yes, you can. So I think I should show you that. You can, once you have your picture as the background, then you can decrease its size, you can add, change anything, you can make its position changed, you can add, you can also decrease its size. So yeah, you can do that. I'll show you, we do have time. Background image, URL. You can also add a border to it. Oh, yes, you have to end it with a colon. You can also change its position, background position. It can, let's say, be right bottom. I'll go to I think first we need to क्योंकि इसकी जो size है ना that is not according to our web page. So first we will have to change its size to end this with a semicolon and I will have to see कि picture itself उसका क्या size है and then so picture का जो भी size होगा we will make that size as the size of your web page तो फिर आप इसकी automatically one second इसकी automatically picture की alignment will be according to your web page ठीक है we can do this next class maybe if you're not clear with how you can try it out would be in your Dreamweaver because abhi to time is up and we can discuss this if you're still not clear so we can discuss this in your next class. Okay, that was it for today and your next class is on Saturday, same timings. Allah Hafiz everyone. Okay.